everyone, and welcome to today's video. This is a B1 level Civics and Citizenship lesson. Today we're going to be talking about elections. So have you ever voted, and what did you vote for? So we're going to read the sentences and explain the meaning of the phrases in bold. She says, I know it is usual for an incumbent to win re-election, but I am not sure if that will happen this year. So incumbent means the person who is already in the position. They're not new to whatever you're running for. Yeah, it's going to be a close race. Do you know a lot about the candidates who are running for president this year? So race is basically just the competition between the people who are trying for a particular position, and those people are called the candidates. And running just means that they are participating in the race. They are trying to become the next president or governor or whatever it is you are voting for. And she says, I know a bit. I am planning to watch the debate tonight to learn more. And so debate is when two candidates compete with each other. They answer questions in order to give the voters a little bit more information about who they are and where they stand on certain issues. All right, here are a few more. Do you know who is nominated for governor? So nominated means that a person has become the official candidate. Then this person says, I'm 18 years old, so this is the first year that I can vote. I can't wait to go to the polling station and vote. And so the polling station is just the place where you go to vote. I heard that a new person is running. His name is David Meeks. He's only 30 years old. I wonder if he will be elected. So the person that wins, who gets the most votes, is the person who will be elected. All right, so we're going to match the phrases with the definitions. You can pause the video, try this on your own, and then restart when you're ready to check your answers. So a group of people who share similar ideas and beliefs about how a country should be run, that would be number 5. A political party. The person who is currently in a position of power, that's number 6, the incumbent. A piece of paper or a card that you mark to cast your vote in an election, that's number 2, a ballot. A place where people go to vote in an election, that's number 3, the polling station. A person who is running for a political office like president, governor, or mayor, that's number 4, the candidate. And a process in which people vote to choose their representatives or leaders, that's number 1, election. So before an election, people learn about the candidates. How can you learn about the candidates who are running for office? So we're going to read the statements and match the bold words to their meaning. So I looked at his website and I liked his political platform. So political platform would be C, the policies and ideas that a candidate supports. Presidential candidates spend so much money on their political campaigns. Well, that would be A, activities to increase support for candidates before an election. And he says, I am planning to watch the presidential debate to learn more about the candidates. That's letter B, a discussion between the candidates for a presidential election about important issues. All right, so steps in the election process. So there are a lot of steps in the election process. Here we see the beginning step, which is voter registration. And then the ending step is inauguration, the ceremony at the start of a president's term. But there are a lot of steps in between that we're going to be talking about. All right, and sequencing words are words that show the order that events happen. So read about how to register to vote and what sequencing words can you find. To register to vote, first you need to make sure that you will be 18 years or older on election day. Next, you need to get a voter registration form. You can usually get a form online or at your local library. Then you need to complete the form. You will need to write your name, address, date of birth, and citizenship. Sometimes the form might ask for your political party. After you complete the form, you need to sign and date it. Finally, you need to submit the form online or by mail. So the sequencing words, we have first, it's already identified. Next, then, after, and finally. So these are all sequencing words that help you understand the steps in the process and what order they come in. All right, so nominating a candidate. The election process begins with primaries and caucuses. So first let's look at the vocabulary words. Nominate is a verb to suggest or choose someone for a specific position or award. Nomination is a noun, means suggesting or selecting someone for a specific position or award. Nominee is the person who is suggested or selected for a specific position or award, and delegate, a person chosen or elected to represent a group at a meeting. And then we have our sequencing words, a few more before, at the same time, following, last. All right, so the timeline, we can use our sequencing words to talk about the timeline. So first, there are candidate announcements where people from a political party announce plans to run for president. Next, there are state primaries where voters in each state vote for a candidate from their party. Then the parties give delegates to each state to represent their state at the national convention. After that, there's a national convention where delegates from each state meet to nominate the presidential candidate from their party. And finally, there's an official nomination, so the candidate with the most delegates becomes the party's nominee for president. All right, so we're going to look at the next steps in the timeline and complete the sentences using before, after, following that, then, at this time, and finally. So you can pause the video, take a few moments to write down your answers, and then restart the video when you're ready to check. All right, so after the primaries, the national convention happens. At this time, both political parties officially nominate their candidates for president and vice president. Before the national convention, delegates from each state have already voted for their party representatives. After the candidate announcement, the candidates begin their election campaigns. Then the nominated candidates from each party travel across the country to gain support from voters. They participate in debates, hold rallies, and communicate their platforms to the public. And finally, election day arrives and citizens vote for the candidate who they want to be president. The election is held on the first Tuesday of November in even-numbered years. Okay, here are a few more. Again, you can pause the video, write down your answers, and then recheck or restart when you're ready to check. Okay. After the election, states count the popular vote results. The candidate who receives the most popular votes in a state typically wins all of that state's electoral votes, but not always. Then each state certifies its election results, and the winning candidate's electors cast their votes in the Electoral College. Finally, in January following the election, the president-elect takes office. Okay, so can you remember the order in which these things happen? All right, so we would start with voter registration, then candidate announcements would be next. And then primaries and caucuses would be next. Then the general election campaign. Then national conventions. Then election day. Then counting the votes. Certification of results. And inauguration. All right, so we're going to read about the Electoral College and then answer the questions. The Electoral College is a group of people in the United States who help choose the president. It's not the people's direct vote that decides. Instead, each state has a certain number of these special voters based on its size. These voters usually follow what the people in their state want and vote for the president. It's kind of like a middle step between the people's votes and the final decision. So what is the Electoral College and what is its role in the United States? Well, it's a group of people who help to choose the president. How is the number of Electoral College voters decided for each state? Well, it's based on the size of the state. Do these special voters always vote the way that they want to vote? No, they usually follow what the people in their state want, not what they personally want. And how does the Electoral College relate to the people's votes in the election process? It's a middle step between the people's votes and the final decision. All right, here are some additional vocabulary words. So again, fill in the blanks with words from the boxes, and then you can restart the video when you're ready to check your answers. So you go to a polling station to vote. A candidate is a person who wants to be elected for a job like president or mayor. An election is when people in a country choose their leaders through voting. In an election, you mark your choice on a ballot, which is like a special form. And a political party is a group of people who have similar ideas about how the government should work. The incumbent is the person who currently holds a position, like a president running for re-election. During a debate, candidates discuss their ideas and plans for the country. It helps voters understand their choices better. A rally is a big meeting where supporters of a candidate gather to cheer for them and hear them speak about their goals. A nominee is a person who was selected for a job, and a political platform is a list of promises that a candidate makes to voters telling them what they will do if they are elected. right, so we're going to just read about some different voting processes around the world, and you can also think about how these might be the same or different from your country. In Australia, it's a legal requirement for citizens over 18 to vote in federal elections. If they don't, they might need to pay a fine. So, do you think that voting should be required? In Estonia, people can vote online. They started voting online in 2005. And do you think people should vote online? New Zealanders vote on a Saturday because people don't usually have work or school then. Do you think this is a good idea? And Iran has one of the lowest voting ages in the world, 16 years old. At what age do you think that people should be able to vote? And that brings us to the end of today's video. Please like, subscribe, share. And if you have any questions, please leave those for me in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.